Hello, painting class. All right, in this video, I am going to be showing you how to create your monochromatic self-portrait. Be sure to check the Google slide for the terms that you'll need to know: tints and shades, monochromatic, and self-portrait, as well as step-by-step instructions and photos of examples and how to approach this project. So in this project, all right, ignore this because this was your creative color wheel that you've already finished. And now you're moving on to your monochromatic self-portrait. So monochromatic means tints and shades of one color. So it's an artwork only using one color plus the tints and shades, which means you're mixing that color with white to create lighter values, which are your tints, and you're also mixing that one same color with black to create shades, which are your darker values. So in this project, you are going to need to take a picture of yourself and print it off in grayscale in black and white on an 8.5 by 11 piece of regular printer paper so that it looks like this. Okay, you're gonna need an image of yourself to do this project. So if you don't have a printer at home, please email me and send me a picture and I will print it off and you can pick it up at school. So you need to make it as large. I struggled to get it to fit the size of the paper, but as big as you can get it. The bigger, the better. It's just gonna be easier. These are all in process ones that I've started before. So you can be creative with your facial expression, or you can just be simple. Sometimes teeth are a little tricky, so if you want to try and take a photo with your mouth closed, go ahead, but it's not impossible. You'll see on the Google slide my teeth show, so it's not like you can smile fully if you would prefer. So you definitely have to have a printout because you're going to be painting directly on the printout image of yourself. Okay, you're also going to need to print off, this is the practice worksheet. This is 20 points towards your overall grade. This is where you're going to be practicing creating a grayscale with black and white, and then mixing tints, your color with white, and then shades, your color with black. So this is kind of our preliminary practice before we actually dive in and get started on applying the tints and shades to your self-portrait. So make sure you print this off. Again, if you don't have a printer, contact me so that you can, because you'll have to take a photo of this and upload it to Google Classroom as a portion of your grade. You will also need a paper plate to mix your tints and shades. You need white, black. For this, you can use tempera paint or acrylic, whichever you prefer or whatever you have at home. And then your one color. In this example, you'll see that I use blue, but if you want to use purple, green, I would avoid yellow. Yellow doesn't work as well. Red is great, orange is fine. But you'll need your one color that you're gonna do your self-portrait in. You can see my example is in purple. Okay. You are gonna need some smaller paintbrushes, like a slight variety there, because we're working in a small space. We're trying to mimic all of those values, so you might want to try and get a variety of sizes, as well as you will need a water bin and a paper towel. All right, please follow along and enjoy as you practice mixing tints and shades to create your monochromatic self-portrait. The first step to this project is completing the Tints and Shades worksheet. Please print it out at home to complete. You're going to start with your value scale only using black and white. So in your value scale, you're always starting with your lightest values first and then gradually getting darker. So we're starting by painting the first block white, and then as you move down the value scale, you are just going to take a little bit of black and add it to your dollop of white. And then you're going to blend and mix your first tint. This is your first tint, your lightest tint, really well. We don't want to see any streaks of black inside that white. So mix until it's one solid value. And this should be your next lightest value. And then you're going to paint the next block of your value scale. So this value scale has 6 sections, and your last section is going to be just straight up black. So now I'm adding a little bit more black to my previous tint. That's how I can guarantee that it will be a smidge darker than my previous color, is I'm just going to mix into that whole little palette of white paint, or what was your first tint. And mixing thoroughly, because remember, we don't want to have more than one value within that box. There shouldn't be any streaks of black. It should be one solid color. And then you're going to paint in the next block. Next, you're going to grab more black, mix it thoroughly, and continue and repeating that same process until you get to your last block, which should be your darkest value. Once you've completed your grayscale value scale, now you're moving on to practicing how to mix tints. Tints is adding white to your color to make it get lighter. So again, that first block, we're going to paint white. And remember, we are mixing tints, or we're using white to make our color get lighter. Then you are always adding the dominant color to white. So I'm taking my blue, which is the color I've chosen. You do not have to choose blue for this practice worksheet. You can choose any color, nor does this color have to be the color you use on your self-portrait. This is just practice, so any color is fine. However, I would avoid using yellow. Okay, so you're always adding your dominant color to the white. We never add the white to the color because you would need gobs and gobs of white in order to get it to be really light. So you always take the strong dominant color and add to white because white's really weak. All right, so this is just like your value scale. So I'm taking a little bit more blue to my previous color tint that I've just mixed. That's how I'm going to guarantee that it's darker, is by adding it to that previous tint. Mixing it thoroughly because we don't want any streaks. And then I'm going to continue that same process down my value scale, mixing tints, and my color is going to gradually get darker. And that last color in block 6 should be your color unmixed. So that last block, that darkest tint, is your color with no white. So once you get down to that block, make sure you wash your brush thoroughly so you have no white in your paintbrush, so that your blue or whatever color you choose is true to that hue. Once you've completed mixing your tints, now we are going to make shades. Shades are your color getting darker by adding black. So that first block is just your color unmixed. So again, it's just your color unmixed. That's what we're starting with. And then as we move down that value scale, we're going to add black to our color to see it gradually get darker. Now here, our dominant color is black. Black is super, super strong. So you're adding your strong color to the weak color. So I'm taking a little bit of black, mixing it into my blue thoroughly, and then I'm working my way down the value scale. By the time you get to that last block, it should almost be completely black. So again, little bits of black. So now I'm just going to take a little bit more black, add it to my previous shade that I just mixed. That's how I'm going to guarantee that it's darker. And I'm going to repeat that process down my value scale, mixing shades. Once you've completed your Tints and Shades worksheet, painting a value scale using black and white only, then a value scale of just tints and a value scale of just shades, you're going to need to take a picture of it and upload your image to Google Classroom, as this worksheet is 20 points towards your overall grade. Next, we are moving on to actually beginning the project, which is your monochromatic self-portrait. Be sure you print off an image of yourself, the larger the better, really focusing more on a close-up of your face. We don't need a whole full-length body picture. We're just really focusing on your face. Print that out in grayscale and black and white, and watch the next video on how to begin applying tints and shades to your monochromatic self-portrait.